Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ushanka Show, stories about life in the Soviet Union. My name is Sergei Sputnikov, aka John Wayne Cheeseburger, and I was born in the USSR. If you watched my recent video about drinking in the Soviet Union called Can You Build Socialism by Drinking Hard and Hardly Working, you may notice the unusually large jar with Stolichnaya vodka. And some of my viewers posted a comment in question wondering if this is a real or okay, this is the wrong comment. Okay, and there's the right one. So people were asking question, is it true that we had vodka sold as big glass jars or just a Photoshop? For those viewers that like short and precise videos, the answer is yes. That's correct, it's not Photoshop, and in the early 90s we did have vodka for sale in these 3 liters jars. And for the rest of my viewers who like long and boring blah 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 Ushanka Show videos, let's talk about it, and let's talk about generally what kind of containers been used for alcohol, specifically vodka, back in the Soviet Union. The most popular size for vodka in the Soviet Union was half-liter glass bottles, only glass, we never had plastic. And as you see this picture, there's some difference in the bottles, right? One are taller, one are shorter, and also there's different caps. One are screw caps, which you can open and close. The other ones, it's a single use. Once you open the bottle, you cannot really reclose it. So here's the fine example of Stolichnaya vodka, how it used to be back in the Soviet days. It says on the bottom, Russian vodka. It says imported from the USSR. It's a tall neck and a screw cap. This is how the Stolichnaya used to look. So if you read a book or watch a movie and a Russian person says "Butylka vodki," a bottle of vodka, it automatically means half-liter bottle of vodka. Now, a half-liter bottles with the long neck had its own nickname. Like here you see those bottles have long necks, and the one on the left called Pshenichnaya vodka, wheat vodka, 40 proof. Those were also very popular or available. I never seen Sibirskaya vodka on the right. There's a Siberian vodka, and it's a 45 proof. It was probably only made somewhere in Siberia and Russia. I never seen it in Ukraine. So these bottles had a special nickname, Sabonis. Arvydas Sabonis was a Lithuanian basketball player who used to play in the Soviet basketball team. He is 7 feet 3 inches tall, so the tall bottles of vodka got a nickname Sabonis after Arvydas Sabonis. We also had a smaller bottles available. They were a quarter of the liter, so 250 milliliters, and they had a nickname Chekushka. So it's from четверть, a quarter. So I didn't see those often, but of course I didn't shop alcoholic beverages because I was still a kid most of the Soviet Union times. But those were also available, but not as popular as half liters. Chekushka. Chekushka. On this photo you see quite rare, we can call it limited edition Russian vodka. This is actually proper name because it's called Russkaya vodka, which translates exactly Russian vodka. This one was bottled into 0.33 liter Pepsi bottles, and they got a nickname Raiska. Raiska is a dismissive form of the first name Raisa. You may guess it was because of Raisa Gorbachev. So this vodka was produced during Gorbachev anti-alcohol struggle, and people were upset there was shortage of vodka, and then they saw these new bottles and they just called them Raiska after Raisa Gorbacheva. Raiska. Raiska. And of course now I must mention that the whole bottling industry in Soviet Union was heavily relying on recycling bottles. Bottles were expensive. Half-liter empty bottle was 20 kopecks deposit price. You can ride bus 4 times for that money, or you could buy a loaf of bread. So that was the quite popular thing, to return the bottles to be reused. Meanwhile, those large 3-liter jars, we call them banka, were used mostly for bottling juices like tomato juice, birch tree juice, apple juice. And once again, it was inconvenient because it's large, 3 liters, almost a gallon, but the lid was single use. Once you open that jar, you cannot really reseal it. You need to have another type of we call it kapronovaya krishka, like made out of caprons, like a plastic lid, because the metal lid was a single use. So the cycle of bottling vodka, drinking vodka, returning bottles for deposit, bottling vodka, drinking vodka was working fine till the early 90s. Then the whole supply chain broke down. Maybe people stopped returning bottles, maybe stores quit accepting bottles, but suddenly there was a shortage of half-liter bottles for the bottling industry. And some vodka bottling plants were desperate enough to switch to putting vodka in those 3-liter jars. And I remember one time, so that was the early 90s, I was a student at the Kyiv Polytechnical Institute, and I was on my way, I think that was Monday morning, I was on my way to classes, and I was walking that area around the KPI, as we say, Kyiv Polytechnical Institute, and I saw on the road someone dropped and broke a jar of Stolichnaya vodka. And I stood there for a second just shocked, because I could only imagine what a tragedy was for those people who carried, probably were students who lived in the dorms, college dorms, carrying this jar of vodka, and somehow it maybe bag broke or it slipped out of a person's hands, and 3 liters, so it's what we got, 6 bottles of vodka just got wasted instantly. I was just standing there like, wow, that would be an amazing video. Of course, back then we didn't think like that, to film people's faces when they watched their party just going down to the drain. But this unusual packing solution didn't last very long. Soon there was even better ideas how to bottle the vodka, and I already had a video made about it. It's called Russian yogurt. They started putting vodka in a single-use cups. That original equipment was made for making yogurts, but our inventive people, businessmen, started putting vodka in it, and it started so-called Russian yogurt. Okay, my friends, all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video once again and maybe learned something new. As always, don't forget to like this video, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye. Definitely you driving on it. Definitely you driving. It's kind of a tiny bit. I wish they had more of it.
Is that a jalapeno spirit?
Limoncello. Kind of interested in the coffee liquor.
Sergey wrote a book based on diaries he made when he was first in the United States. And as I understand, this is just volume 1, right? That's correct. He's going to have multiple volumes coming out. Well, I said, well, since Sergey is kind enough to come up and speak with us, I bought the book. I said, I might as well read this. I read this in one sitting, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I just couldn't put it down. It was so fascinating because your writing is very compelling, for one. And his story is very interesting for two. It's really interesting. You know, we've lived here our whole lives. We don't have that perspective. It's just so interesting to hear someone else's perspective about what we take for granted. So I hope you really tune in and listen to what he has to say. It's a very interesting, very informed perspective. Sergey is not a historian. He's an electrical engineer by trade, but I find that he has a depth of understanding on history, economics, culture. So just a very observant fellow and a great storyteller. So